And welcome back to Backspace Academy. In this lab, we're going to again look at another RDS database engine. This time it'll be the Microsoft SQL Server engine. We'll launch an instance again and we'll connect into that instance using the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Now, back in the RDS dashboard, again, we launch the DB instance and we'll make sure that we have free tier eligible only selected because SQL Server is available on the free tier if you choose SQL Server Express Edition. So that's what we'll do. We'll select the SQL Server Express Edition and we'll leave license included and we'll leave a DBT2 micro. We won't worry about time zone and we're going to put in an instance identifier. And I'll just use that there, backspace RDS MS SQL Server. And again, we put in a username and password and we'll just do admin again. And once we've got that in there, we'll just click on the next step. And I'll leave create new security group because there's not one there already set up for us. So we'll create one, but all it is going to do is create a security group again with inbound rule for access on port 1433. Now we'll ignore Microsoft SQL Server Windows Authentication because what that does is if you've got Microsoft Active Directory on your enterprise, you can use your Microsoft Active Directory to authenticate users to this database, but we won't do that. We'll leave those database options as they are, except that we will change backup to 0 days so that we don't have any backups being done or automated backups being done for us. And we'll launch that DB instance. And again, after a short amount of time, it'll go from creating to available, and then we'll look at connecting into our DB instance using the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Now, after quite a bit of time, you'll find that your SQL Server Express instance will be up and running and available. So then you need to go to the Microsoft website and download the SQL Server Management Studio, and a link to that is in the lab notes. Now, the quickest and easiest way to connect into your MySQL instance is to do it through the command line. And so I'm just going to copy from the lab notes. There is a command that we use to connect in through SQL command. And the first thing we need to do is we need to replace where it says RDS endpoint goes here and put our RDS endpoint from the RDS console. And again, we need to take off that colon and the port number 1433 off the end of that endpoint. And next we put in is our username, which will be admin. And then our password. And enter. And there we have it. So we've successfully connected in through the command line to our SQL Server, and we can issue T-SQL commands from here if we'd like. Okay, now the final thing that we're going to do is we're going to connect into our RDS instance, this time using the SQL Server Management Studio. So what we do is we connect, or we click on this connect icon here, or we can go into File and then Connect. Now the server type will be Database Engine, and the server name, that will be our RDS endpoint. So I'll just jump into the RDS Management Console and I'll copy that over. And we need to make sure that we take off the 1433 and the colon off the end of our endpoint. The authentication, it's not going to be Windows authentication and it's not going to be Active Directory authentication, but we could set that up if we wanted to, but we haven't. So the SQL Server database itself will be authenticating us with a username and password. We put in our admin username and our password in now. And we click Connect. Okay, and there we have successfully connected into our SQL Server database using the Management Studio. And I'll see you in the next lab.